I'll start speaking up. All right, so I'd like to take a motion to approve the minutes from the August 9th meeting. Mark, move. And don't need the one move, so I'll take all in favor, say aye. Aye. Can you give a thumbs up?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. Jackie couldn't be here with us today, so everyone knows. All right, so we can go on to is there any public participation? No. Okay, and then we have the administrative report. Dr. Brian.
All right, well, welcome to our board meeting for September 13th. This is our lead learner report, and we are going to start off with our wonderful PTO president, Jamie Richardson.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Happy month again. It's nice to be up here to see you again, and school starting, and everything's been really great. So I just wanted to give you a little update on some PTO things. There's nothing crazy and new to report. I just want to make sure that we continue to brief you on what we're doing. Hopefully you're seeing some of the things that we're doing or reading some of the newsletters. So if you have any questions, just never hesitate to reach out. The big thing that we have going on right now and that we're planning is our paw drop. It's our big fundraiser on Friday, September 30th. A couple of things that of note, that it's going to have a free community dinner, which is really nice. We've had some success with those the last couple times that we've done them. So it's really nice to fill this room with families and kids and community members and maybe some grandparents and, you know, all the friends and family will be able to come to this event. So we're hoping for a big turnout there. Some of the activities at the event are free and others will require a punch card. And that's something new that we wanted to mention to you folks. Because this is a fundraiser, we're obviously looking to make a little extra money versus just selling the $1 pause for your chance to win some great prizes. So we have some activities that will require just a single punch on this punch card, like face painting or hair tinsel, that will receive something in return for those punches, and there'll be $5 punch card, and they'll have 8 punches on them. So they can do all the things, or they can do a single thing. It's up to them. But we just wanted to make sure we mentioned that. Paws are still for sale, and we'll sell them straight through until the event. And during the event, we want to have as many chances to win as possible. So the more paws you buy, the more chances to win. We've had a beautiful turnout for sponsors and donors to this event. We're listing all of those sponsors and prizes and donors on our website as well as our Facebook page. So we encourage everybody to take a peek there so you can see our community really does rally around our school, and it's very, very nice to see the generosity for something that's brand new, and we're kind of experimenting with this a little bit, and they're incredibly generous. So take a peek at all those prizes. We're going to find a way for Mr. Martis to drop those paws. We want to thank him for conquering his fear of heights. We recognize this may be torture, but we do very much appreciate, and we know that it'll cause a buzz, especially with the kiddos. They're going to be real interested in seeing you drop all those paws. As of today, I do believe we have over 1,200 paws that are sold. So the school that we were inspired by, they only sold 1,500 paws. And we still have a couple weeks to go. So it's kind of a secret competition that we have.
And they've been doing it for a long time.
And they've been doing it a long time. Yes, let's go Wethersfield. Thank you, Meredith. Absolutely. So anyway, the paw drop is a big deal. We're meeting a lot. We're collecting a lot of items, and we're really excited. So we're hoping that the rain or the weather gods will be in our favor. I heard Mr. Martis speak tonight that he can control the weather. So hear this first. But anyway, if not, we do have a plan to bring things indoors. So we want to make that clear that that's a rain or shine kind of an event. This Friday is our first booster concession stand. So as many of you remember, we were slinging hot dogs and popcorn and drinks at all of the home baseball games and softball games this past spring. So we're committing to all the home games here at this location this year. And so Friday's our first game. So our our home opener is our 7-8 girls soccer team. And we will have the stand right outside our new PTO room. So we're excited to get that going again. We are going to be hosting a harvest dance in October. So our event planning brains are already starting to spin on how we can have a lot of fun in this space. The lights are already hung. It's meant to be a dance party. So, we'll be doing that at the end of October. Every week we've been putting out a PTO newsletter in Mr. Martis's newsletter. So we appreciate the opportunity to do that. We aren't guaranteeing that we'll commit to it every week, but we certainly are going to try. We have a lot going on. So it's just making sure that we're keeping everybody informed. And we do have a lot of things to talk about. So hopefully you take a peek at that. We just had our first in-school meeting of the year last week, and we did have a couple new members come to take a peek at what the PTO is all about. We encourage folks to come sit in on a meeting to see if it's something that they really feel like they can commit to and to decide on what level. And so we had a couple people do that, which is really exciting. That we're a pretty active little group, and so the more volunteers and interest, the better. And lastly, I just want to mention again that we have our apparel sale going on. It's our 365. So every single day of the year, you can get on and order your Wethersfield apparel. We do have the link on our website, and we do share it in our newsletters and on social media. So there's over 200 items on there. Sometimes they come and sometimes they go, given supply chain issues, of course, but there's some really neat logos and designs on there that will bring some fun school spirit this year. So those are all the things I have to report. Anybody have any questions?
Can I buy some flowers after the?
You can buy some pods. We can take care of you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, James.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. All right, so I wanted to give you guys a staffing update. So we still have a couple of positions that we still need to hire. We have a part-time night custodian and we have one paraprofessional. We were able to bring on a paraprofessional. We have Ashlyn Rice, who's a young lady that graduated from here, from Wethersfield, and went on, and she's taking a year off. And so we made that commitment that she would work here as long as she goes back to college. So that was important to me. We also hired our athletic director, Carrie Jewell, who's here with us tonight, and then our assistant athletic director, John Richardson. And then we made a little couple switcheroos here. So we have our new daytime custodian is Kathy Dana, and she's been a long time para here at Wethersfield. And then she also has always worked the summer times for as long as I can remember, up to last year. And so she wanted to really become a daytime custodian, so that was able to happen. And then Kelly O'Brien, who was our part-time night custodian, is a full-time night custodian here as well. So it's just an awesome opportunity. They're a great team. They work well together, and we really appreciate the hard work that they do. So with that being said, we do have a staffing update. We had our Spanish teacher. She was here 2 days a week, and she decided to resign. She was not quite the right fit. She wasn't happy, and so I don't want anybody not to be happy here, so we took that resignation, and we'll post that job tomorrow looking for somebody new. All right, so before we get to our athletic report, so we had our second day of cheerleading. So one of the things that when Carrie, we had talked about it, and she had mentioned in her interview, is that she would really like to have an opportunity to have cheerleading here. So we said, yeah, why not? So we have a tremendous amount of girls and boys that have signed up for cheerleading. We had a K3 group yesterday and then a 4-8 group today. So I was able to get in there for a second and snap a couple pictures, but I don't want to steal Carrie's thunder, so I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about cheerleading and our athletics department here at Wethersfield.
Okay. So, sorry if there's a lot of boring details, but I'm actually very excited about this. So, thank you for allowing me to do this job. So far, it's been a challenge, and that's what I love, and it's fun. And I have an excellent assistant AD in John Richardson, who is joining us virtually. So some highlights. We had a total of 168 registrations. However, some of those students are actually doing more than one sport. So if you counted them as a cheerleader and beyond, we would have more than that in actual registrations. We have enough students that we're fielding boys 3 and 4 and girls 3-4 soccer team. 5-6 boys, we could have had 2 teams. Lesson learned that at some point, if you have too many numbers, it's even good to split within the same grade level. We have a full 7-8 boys team and a 7-8 girls team. There are 17 kindergarten and 30 first and second grade athletes. That's another group that probably we should have broken down a bit more, but it's excellent to have the numbers. We were not able to field a girls 5-6 team, but we worked with the coaches, the parents, and other rec departments to be able to offer the choice of the 6th graders, which there are 3, to play up with 7th and 8th. And there's 2 very dedicated 5th graders to wanting to be under good coaching, and we're happy to join Christian Craig's 3-4 team. And the area rec directors were absolutely fine with that. It's a way that we can keep our athletes here while supporting them to have great coaching. So we didn't have any athletes leave over that decision, and I'm proud to say that they're here and they will stay with the program. We also have been invited to a couple soccer tournaments, so we're working on planning those, and have been in contact with individuals about hosting specific clinics, for example, pitching and catching clinics for softball and baseball outside of the season. MLS soccer can come and do clinics. So we're excited to give kids opportunities outside of this sports season as well. You'll see in your packets that I gave you a comparison of our soccer numbers from fall to 2021. We had 121 soccer players, 12 cross country, 35 cheerleaders, for the total of 168. And last year we registered 108. Fall of 2020, which was obviously before COVID, we had 83. I just was not able to figure out from the software where those numbers fell. I want to express thanks to John and Jamie Richardson, Lee Baker, and Tim Sargent, who volunteered many hours to clear more than 15 feet of overgrown brush, trees, and poison ivy from the sides of the fields. There is a fence out there that you can now see and see safely on the other side that it does have a drop off. So I think it's important that we keep that clear so that people see that. We also had my family and Jess and Sean Brown help to hoe out the athletic shed. We organized and cleaned it. We took an inventory of what we have, what would we need, and we're currently working tonight. We did some more on a storage room in the gym. So we're in really good shape to know what we have and what we need, and there's easy access to it all. It's very well organized. I did order a set of goals for Hoisington Field, where the 3-4 boys and girls are exclusively practicing and having games. We were able to make it so there's 2 fields side by side, so we can have 2 games simultaneously. So there will be 4 goals over there, and they seem to really enjoy having the space and be able to work collaboratively together at practices. We held a coaches meeting on September 7th. It was open to any former, current, or potential new coach to meet myself and John and go over what we see as where the program is heading. We did have 28 coaches attend, 18 of which are currently coaching this season. We went over our vision for athletics, which I tried to include some of the portrait of a graduate and leader in me and use the P.R.I.D.E. And so we have P.R.I.D.E plus fun equals participation. I feel like that needs to be the goal and focus of athletics. If you build it, they will come, and then you get better, and people start winning. It's not all about winning, but that helps. We also went over coaching expectations, what coaches need for training, where they can get it, the resources that we have. We've offered a first aid and CPR certification for free that we will be putting together so that they can have that added level of safety for their athletes. And we spent a lot of time on communication. It's one thing that I feel is key to making the athletic program successful. We will be partnering with Mrs. Berry, the gym teacher, to be able to utilize the gym for athletics, open gym for students and adults, and practice during inclement weather. The physical education class will always take a priority over what we need for athletics, and we will ensure that Mrs. Berry's space and equipment is protected and respected. I think that it's a great resource for our community to be able to have access to that space, especially through the long winter months where there's not a lot of opportunity for students to get their energy out, or maybe parents to come and want to play a little pickup basketball game. Cheerleading is brand new to Wethersfield School. We have both boys and girls and students in kindergarten through 7th grade. We will be cheering at some soccer games as soon as we are ready. And it's the one sport that I know something about. So I say that because I don't know a lot about the other sports. I just am passionate that kids have access to sports. I feel like that athletics and team is so important in a foundation for students' growth and development. So my passion lies with making sure that we have a successful program, and I will leave it to the coaches to understand the terminology, except cheerleading. That actually, Meredith Kelly is my co-coach, and I coached her when she was in high school. So we're bringing it full circle. Her daughter is one of the cheerleaders. One thing that, there's two things that have come up that I'm aware of and that we want to work on. One is a great deal of conversation about the gap time after school and before practice. It is not such a barrier if the practices are 5 or later. We're finding, because we have so many kids, so many teams, I was staggering practices, coaches that were able to go earlier. We can, so that everyone has equal field time. But if the practices are before 4, we have found that really getting off the bus and then even turning around to come right back to school isn't working out so well. So I have been keeping athletes after school with me. Yesterday they had to watch the kindergarten, 3rd grade cheerleading practice off to the side. We let them play basketball, but supervised. And I think that it's a real, issue and barrier to the success of our athletics program. We're unique. We all know that we don't have a rec. PAWS is certainly an after-school program, but they're limited space. So I say it because I want to have us be creative and think if there's a way that we could sustain it, because certainly I can't do it myself 5 days a week through all sports season. I'm happy to do it now. I know that there are about 12 students that would not otherwise have been able to participate if they were not able to stay after school. And I just feel like that's a significant number in a small school. So I'd like to continue the conversation and research possibilities. Mr. Martis and I have met a few different times about what it could look like. Is there even space? But I know that's something I want to work on. The last thing is that a lot of families have expressed the concerns about not opening registrations early enough for athletics to gauge whether or not we're going to have teams and release kids to other towns. I have been to one meeting in person, one virtual, and talked separately with other area rec directors and ADs. And we're not really doing anything much different than other areas in Vermont. So to expect that we would have an answer by the 1st of August about what our fall soccer numbers are looking like, I'm not sure is really as reasonable as it seems easy. So my solution, part of the solution is communication, goes back to making sure everyone's doing what they can to get the word out, but also within the next 2 weeks, I'll have registrations open for every sport for the whole school year. So we will have the links live. People can go on and register ahead of time. That's the only and best way we're going to know what the projected numbers are. I can look at who the roster is now and know, we have 10 5th grade boys playing soccer. It's likely we'll at least have 6 to do basketball with. But I also know that just having a deadline is not the answer. It's having access to the registration, providing the gap care after school supervision, and communicating that they're open and what we're looking like. I absolutely would do my best to make the calls as early as possible. But for fall, it's tricky. But I'll have the registrations open before the school year is over and promote it as best we can. So we also are utilizing our social media platforms. So our Facebook page is very active. We're posting regularly each week with scheduled, like tonight's practice is being canceled, pictures of the first practices, all the things that we can communicate. We're using our school website, the athletic website, school messenger. I think it helps having me work in the office here because I'm really accessible for families and students. So things can get tackled right off. So there's a little bit more of a summary in the packets that I handed out to you that you can feel free to read. But I welcome feedback from our community about things that we can continue to do to strengthen our athletics program and build trust in the program itself, that we're going to do what's best for the students at Wethersfield. Are there any questions?
Sounds like you really just hopped right in there and got off to a great start. So
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she's been doing an amazing job and has just really boosted our program and put her heart and soul into it. We appreciate it. So thank you very much, Terry, for all your work. John, too. All right, so I'm going to go into a little bit more. So Leader of Me is going pretty amazing so far at Wethersfield. So I mentioned it before that we created a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade advisory class in the morning, and then also our K through 5 are doing the morning meeting. And the nice thing, especially about the 6, 7, 8 class, is those are mixed classes. So they have 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders in them. And then even some of our specialist teachers are teaching those as well. So they make those classes a little bit smaller than they already are. So they have about 9 to 10 students in each class in the morning. So the students really get a chance to meet with an adult, a caring adult on campus, and be able to work with them. And then the idea is that those students that are 6th and 7th graders, they'll be able to build and keep going with that adult for their time here at Wethersfield. We have a pretty in-depth schedule set up. So Monday is sort of a check-in day where they check in, see how their weekend went, see what their plans are for the week. Tuesday and Wednesday, they do Leader of Me lessons. On Thursdays, they're starting to do Common Sense Media, which is an online safety curriculum that we are using. And then on Fridays, they're going to be working on their PLPs, their personal learning plans. And so those are the things for the middle school level kids, and the elementary school kids are working on Leader of Me and then other activities that go along with what they're working on in class. We're also having our, next week, we're having our action team meeting. So everybody on campus is part of an action team. And then our Lighthouse team are the leaders of those action teams. And so they'll be meeting for the first time next week as groups on that one. And then on the 28th, we're using our staff meeting, our faculty meeting that day to go over what's been working well so far with Leader of Me, if they've gotten the first 8 days done, if they've created their mission, classroom mission statement, and start to look at their weeks as well. So those are the things that we're doing up and coming for Leader of Me. This is the training. So we were right in this room. It was almost as hot as, no, I think it was hotter than it was in here before we opened up the doors. It was that Tuesday before school started, and I literally thought I was going to melt. It was hot in here, but our team really stuck through it. Our coach from Leader of Me, Barb, did a great job of keeping us together and keeping us sane and cool. And the staff really came together and worked really hard with each other. And then this is one of our highlights. So this is Mrs. McNamara's 2nd grade class right now. So they were already working on their mission statement. And so they created their mission statement as a class. And then they were reviewing it when I came in there. And then they were all signing, saying how they agreed to the mission statement for this year. So it's really that start of what's been working and changing here at Wethersfield. We had a community dinner back on the 29th, the 2 days before school started, with our community dinner and our back to school night. So it was really nice to see lots of the families back from the summer. Craig, our amazing food services director, was out there cooking hot dogs, and our kitchen staff, Heather, and they were out there as well working it and making sure that all the families are fed. So it was a good opportunity for families just to come together and eat and then go see the classrooms. One of the things I liked about the back to school night is it does alleviate lots of those first day jitters. So kids already know where their classroom is, know who their teacher is. They can see what the classroom looks like. So I think it was a good overall night, and we had a pretty good percentage of people that were there. And I think it's something that will eventually catch on even more. One of the things that we started working on this year, we actually started this work last year at the end of the year, is we identified different areas. And you can see in here in this room, we have the cafeteria and we have lunch line expectations. So they all go into be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. And so the staff went through and we figured out what things that we need students to do in each area to be able to be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. And so this was a joint effort from the entire staff. And then we sent our ideas over to Doolittle's and posters, which is awesome. And then the nice thing is that in grades 4 through 8, they explicitly taught these expectations in their classroom. They went around. K through 3, we went to the classrooms and took the kids on a tour. So this is Mrs. Hughes' second grade class, and they came in and Carrie and BJ were in the office. So they gave the students the expectations of what is required when you go in the office. You come in quietly and wait for someone to acknowledge you and remember your please and thank yous. And so we have those office expectations. There's a couple of areas of the school that we're still developing the signs. We have some temporary ones up there, but I'm into everything matching and looking nice. So we're getting those done as well. I can't tell that about. This is something that we created. This was part of something we worked on at the end of last year, and then actually Carrie and a group of our staff came up with an activity calendar for the year. It's really important for me to be able to put everything down so that we have a plan for the year. So this is, and you guys should actually have this in your email right now. I've got sent at 6:59. That was good timing on my part. Look at that. But it's our activity calendar for the year. And it's what events are happening, when they're happening. The ones that are highlighted in yellow are PTO. If we put a building request in, so it's just for the entire year of everything that is going on at Weathersfield. Pretty awesome. So thank you for that team that did that.
That's really great, because I know I've been on a lot of school websites where you go on the calendar and it's like empty.
Yeah.
Even though you know there's something going on that night or whatever.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
great you got that.
it's important. And so then BJ went through and put everything on our master calendar as well. So it should show up on our website and be there. Which is great to have all that information there. And if something changes, we'll have to change it, but it gives us a pretty good idea of what things are happening and when they're happening for the school. Back, there we go. Okay. All right, one of the other things that we have worked on, and Carrie mentioned it with our P.R.I.D.E, which is Perseverance, Respect, Integrity, Determination, and Empathy. So each month we're doing a P.R.I.D.E award. So it's going to be the last Friday or the fourth Friday of the month. This one is going to be the last Friday of the month on September 30th. And so what happens is each teacher picks one student in the classroom, with the exception of Jessica Mont's class, because she's got enough for 2 classes almost, not quite, but she's got more. And so then they're going to find a student from each, that fits one of those categories. They could be respectful, they could show integrity, determination, empathy, whatever. And then what they're going to do is they're going to do a little bit of a write-up about that student. And so then at our big school-wide assembly that we're going to do the last Friday of every month, they are going to we're just going to announce the kids, and we're going to invite parents to come, families to come. So they'll announce the kids at the big assembly, and then the families and the kids come in here, and then I sit up there with the kids and we read off what the teachers said about the kids. So it's a little bit more of an intimate, where the kids don't get as embarrassed for being out there, and then it's just here, the smaller group, and then we have a little bit of refreshments and just enjoy and celebrate those students. So that's something that we're starting. We'll do it every month from now until the end. It's clear. This is something that's awesome, is that lunch is back in the cafeteria. I think I know actually every classroom is eating in the cafeteria, and you can see those smiling faces right there. It's nice to have it. Some people might still say it's a little loud. I think it's okay, because we've got about 80 kids per time in here, and they're excited. They're supposed to be a little loud. They're in the cafeteria. They're sitting with their friends, but the kids so far are doing a great job. I think the biggest obstacle is for them to get the composting into the small, because the composting bin is great. It looks nice, but the opening is like this small, this big, and the trays are this big. And so for the kids to try to get
They're
in there,
little and
yeah, it's, that part gets a little bit hectic, but the kids are doing such a great job in here eating lunch and they're enjoying themselves. And it's nice to be able to see the kids together eating lunch. That's been important. Enrollment and attendance so far, we have 247 kids. And we're, our average daily attendance is 94.71%. We actually met about that today and talking about how we can boost that attendance numbers. And a couple of the activities we're doing should also help boost those numbers on things. Building community and continuing those monthly conversations with Chief Spalding. Fire Prevention Month is next month. So we'll be meeting about that and having some activities to go in. It's the second week of October. We've been attending the town safety meeting and emergency preparedness. BJ and Christine and I were at the last one, and it was a lot of fun. And exciting to know a little bit about how we are helping prepare our town and our school to be, in case there is an emergency, and what we can do to help us. Chief Daniels and Chief Spalding came here on one of our in-service days to give the staff a safety review, give them a presentation, and came up with some ideas that we can be a little bit safer at school and to make sure. And one of the ways is just making sure that we keep doors closed and that we're not leaving things open. And then they have some ideas, and we put in some things in place in some of the classrooms to just make sure that kids and the adults are safe. And then we've talked with Representative John Harrison, and he's going to be coming in and talking to our 8th graders about being a page for the state legislation. So we're going to have some students hopefully apply for that coming up for later this month. Upcoming events, having coffee with me tomorrow morning, May 15th, where it's going to be our first live one, which is pretty exciting. And so that'll be here in this room. So if anybody can make it, great. A couple of the items there, book fairs coming up, the first P.R.I.D.E assembly, Paw Drop and Fall Festival. Finally get a Fall Festival, move to Vermont just for that. Student early dismissal day is on Friday, October 7th. Students get out at 12 o'clock. And then we've got an in-depth trainings for the staff following that. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then Monday, October 10th is there's no school because it's Indigenous People Day. And that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to
me.
Christine.
Thank you. Before I start, I just want to thank Carrie and Jamie. That was really inspiring to hear your passion about the school and the kids, and so I appreciated being here for that. So thank you. We'll have you lead that charge across the SU. Definitely our PTOs have suffered during COVID across the SU, so that was wonderful. So what I've done, I've linked my report that I presented at the WSESU board meeting in August, and I will just give you some highlights from that report. I won't make those, we've heard it already here again. But we can go, oh yeah, you're in control. So one of the things that you've been hearing about is Leader in Me. And so I just wanted to report out that we are all in the process of learning about Leader in Me, and some schools are a little bit further along, but as an SU, we have set a WIG, which stands for Wildly Important Goal. And when you really focus on a couple of things, you can make some progress. When you focus on too many things, it becomes more challenging. So we looked at our data as an SU and learned that our reading foundational scores are the place across the SU that are in the most need of some attention. So that is where that goal came from. As an SU, our goal is to go from 56% to 79% of our students meeting or exceeding proficiency on our Track My Progress reading foundational assessment. And from there, you develop lead measures. So those are the things that you're going to do that are going to lead you to achieving that goal. And so as an administrative team at the central office, we've set a couple of goals. One is principal inquiry cycles, which we've started, which looks at a problem of practice that's related to the teaching of reading. And the curriculum director, Angela Dew, is really leading that. She comes in, we come in together, but she has some time with the principals, the lead learners, and looking at a problem of practice and then developing a plan to address that. That might be going into a classroom with some observations and then having conversations with the teacher about that problem of practice and putting supports in place. So it's a method that really helps improve instructional practices throughout the school. So we're excited about that. And the other lead measure for the SU is coordinating our curriculum. And it, you know, we've struggled through COVID, but we have a really good plan going forward. And we have our first actual curriculum meeting tomorrow, Thursday afternoon. So we're excited about that. That's fine. The other WIG for us, our wildly important goal, is the implementation of Leader in Me. And it's already, if you walk into the schools, you can already feel the energy. So it has started. There's a really positive feel walking into the buildings. Students are really through the process of learning the habits and creating the class mission statements and brainstorming what lead roles can we have in our school. It empowers kids, and that's what it's all about. So we have a goal of going from 4.0 to 4.2 by the end of the year in all our schools. And so when you get to 4.2, you really start the goal setting process. And Brian's there. He's working on that with his staff a little bit, I think this month. Yeah. So, so the lead measures that we're going to take in that realm are we're going to provide weekly check-ins with our lead learners. I could change that language on there. To really be supportive and help them with the implementation. And then we are coming in, and when I say we, it's mostly myself and Angie, the director of curriculum. And we're doing walkabouts in all the classrooms. And it's really exciting to see what's going on in our schools. So, and we're celebrating that. We're collecting some data and sharing that out. So those are our goals, our goals and lead measures. I just had to show a picture. This is that same meeting Brian was telling you about in the school when it was 100% humidity. That's the team. I think most of the Lighthouse team up there, up front with Brian. And I was just so impressed with their confidence and their ability to communicate really that we're all in this together and we're going to work on it. And it really kind of eased, I think, a little bit of staff anxiety. Anything new brings a little bit of anxiety. And they just stood up, and Brian really clearly set the expectations in a really nice way. And I think that helped ease everybody's minds as well. So I was just really impressed with the cohesion and the teaming and the, you know, can do, we're in this together feel from that meeting. And I think it continues when I come into the school. I definitely feel it. Yeah. And one last reminder, I know I shared this at the WSESU board meeting, but the VSBA conference is coming up in October. I'd love for any board members that can make it to join me. I will be there. Don't make me be there alone. Please, somebody come. And I'm happy to take questions. I'm really trying to be efficient and not share the same report twice in a month. So I'm happy to answer questions if there are any.
Does anyone have any questions? So, on to our items for discussion. As it was mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we're going to postpone our school walkthrough until next month. And up next is the drama club report.
I know. Well, so thankfully we have a new master schedule to work with. So that really helps us coordinate what possible dates we have. It sounds like there is already some agreement as to what time and space that it's going to work in, taking into account sports and physical education. The wild card that's still out there is the funding from a previous production that is never produced. We have had no response whatsoever from the licensing agent of the rights to the previous production. So this next step is going to be requesting the rights to do the show on the date that works for us. And hopefully that gets a bite back, because that normally means a purchase. And then the strategy is to insist that they apply the credit that they previously have not acknowledged to the date and the production that we want to do. So that's our next step as far as that goes. Our new basic education teacher is on board. Got some other feelers out right now. We've got some other members of the community that are interested in jumping in, and we're trying to pick a direction that will have broad appeal and get as many kids back in as possible. One thing I had thought about is in terms of gaining interest as far as the group, if there's any way we could do a small section of bulletin board, perhaps with if members of the community want to contribute memories from shows that were produced here before, at least that way we can have some kind of motivating materials up for the kids to go, oh, really? They used to do that here? Pre-pandemic. So that was just one other idea that we can find a way to make that happen. Might be good nostalgia for the rest of us, but also might garner some interest student-wide. So that's, I'll let you know how that works as far as submitting the rights show. Yeah, that's gonna be the next step, and I believe BJ was the one who tracked down the contact information. So that's not unheard that they have not responded. Thank you for that. Go ahead.
Does anyone have any questions?
What show are you thinking? Is it a secret?
That's not up yet,
Okay.
Yeah.
because it's not up.
Gotcha.
Becky. Becky?
Oh, Mark, I just wanted to know how far back you want pictures of. And how I would get them to you for the drama.
If you could just email them to me, if you have a program or a picture of the show that was in your near. How
Well, it
far
was
back?
it was my daughter's year. So yeah, I'll dig out some and send them to you.
Okay, try and get it.
Okay.
Next we have school safety, which Brian sort of already gave us a bit about.
Yeah, and so we'll be doing our drills, our school safety drills as well, both for fire and for the other ones. So we have 3 of the other intruder drills. I'm gonna call them intruder drills. So we'll be working on those as well. And then we'll have a fire department here. So I should get used to seeing them as part of our drills, part of just everyday life. So,
And the staff did all,
Alfred.
did the Alice training during the in-service, so everybody's done the 90-minute mandatory, training online. Yeah. Mark?
The fence, how far does it go? A couple of weeks ago when I was out there, it wasn't there. Does it basically shield off the entire ravine? Or do we have access to the outdoor classroom section?
We do have access to the outdoor classroom section.
To the students?
The students do, yeah, so we can still get back there. The fence is very short. I mean, height-wise it's fine, length-wise it's not very long. It does protect from the actual ravine drop down, but none of the other areas. It would be nice to eventually extend that fence. And then we also moved the shed, one of the sheds over there, Bible Pavilion, so that kindergarten had all of their stuff for Tourist Fridays right next to it. And then eventually we're trying to get the athletic shed moved out there. So we'll have some somewhat natural barriers that we won't need fencing that will protect from the areas, if that makes sense. So we're trying to put some objects there that will protect the forest area, but it would be nice to add on some of that.
Let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Have any questions? On to mental health discussion about perhaps forming a committee or something to, to kind of come up with ideas for helping out the teachers and the students. I know it's a big issue.
Just
Kind
so,
of exacerbated by the pandemic, but
yeah,
before.
just so you know, we have formed a wellness committee which addresses some of that SUI, which, committee started meeting this week. The wellness committee actually met, yesterday. So that's an SUI. And they may break off into smaller groups, but addressing some of that as well. And the WSCC, which is, don't ask what it stands for right now. It's also about staff wellness. That's a community committee that's facilitated by two of the nurses in our SU, the nurse at Heartland and Windsor. They co-chair that committee, and that it involves other community organizations. Now, Mascoti Partners comes in and some other community resources to help with just wellness across the board. So that's in play, and it'd be great to have local school small groups working on it as well.
I don't know, is there anything that the teachers might be interested in? Or
We had one of our staff members that's part of the wellness committee from yesterday and reported back to me what they did on it. And so they're going to talk about some possible ideas, a couple of things to talk about. So we'll get a more in-depth information. Well, and also get some input from the staff of some things that they would like to. All that, but.
So I guess we need to.
But I can talk about it a little bit more next time too.
And keep us up to date on this going. It's important, it's one of our main things.
Yeah.
Actually, the top of it, the elevator.
One of the things we're doing, just in general, is really trying to give staff voice and choice in some of the professional development. I've formed a faculty advisory committee, the support staff advisory committee that I'm meeting with monthly, just of communication. What's going well? What can we do better? And that, I think, and that's a little thing, but it helps people feel like there's a place where they share their feelings. And I think that's helped a little bit as well. So, yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to say about it? All right, so we'll move on to the topic I added, which was budget advisory committee. I guess I was just wondering if we can get something out in the newsletter, start requesting any members that want to be on it. It'd be good to get it formed in the next month, 2 months, I guess.
Yeah.
And the SU budget committee starts meeting this Friday, right, David?
Yeah, that'll be in this week's newsletter.
Does anyone else have anything? I have a couple of names for you.
Okay.
I've been keeping an eye on Facebook, kind of watching like people that have stuff to say, and we should invite them to be on the budget advisory.
Absolutely.
If they've got ideas, I want to hear them.
Absolutely. Definitely. Appreciate the ideas.
Yeah. Then we have items for action. I mentioned that we have a-
Yeah, so we have that I mentioned before, we have that 0.4 FTE full-time equivalent resignation for Barbara Soroka, who starts Spanish. She sent an email to myself and saying that Ben's teacher.
So you just want us to vote to accept it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll take a motion to accept the resignation of the current Spanish. Okay, Mark, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's
Aye.
unanimous. We got this all, okay. Okay. Let's, switch around, let's set the next agenda and then we'll go into executive. So the next agenda, we're gonna have the school board walkthrough.
Yep.
Do you have anything, any news on the drama club or?
If I do, and I guess report.
Yeah, sure. We'll keep school safety on there. But school mental health, we'll move that to the administrative report. And I guess we can discuss the DAC. So when are we gonna start, sort of hearing from Ed, like as far as financials go and things like that? We haven't heard from him.
Larry's gonna deliver those reports, and he has a plan. I'll ask him. I'll put it down in my notes.
Okay. Becky?
Sorry, can you repeat the items for the next agenda? Got the school group walkthrough and the back committee, but I didn't get anything else. I couldn't understand it.
You can keep the drama club and the school safety on there. So I think.
I can barely hear you, Anne Marie. But I was wondering if we could put on items for the next agenda, perhaps something to do with, or we can discuss putting the warrants out so that, like, as a group, we can approve those. And for clarity for anybody listening, like any of the members of the public listening.
And how will that work again? I know you mentioned this, so.
So the select board has warrants and they usually announce it at their meeting and then the whole board just approves them.
And is that, we'll still need to sign off on them physically or?
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I will look into how the select board does it. I would imagine that, but it would be, they vote on it.
Yeah, if you want to, at next month's meeting, come with like a plan for how we do that.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
The next meeting, we'll put it on the agenda and if you can come with a plan for how we do that.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? Oh, that's right, I forgot. Say the date. Yeah. That's an important part of it, right? October 11th at 6:30.
Yep. And then I did put on our calendar events, I went back the second Tuesday of every month for our board meetings, with the exception of the April meeting, because that falls within the spring break.
Oh,
So I did plan these out.
all right, and then I'll take a motion to enter. Danny, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Hi.
That's unanimous. We'll be entering executive session. If you guys could just hang out for a sec, we're gonna go in there for executive session. I have to buy my clock.
Oh,